We are live.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Region 1 Student Professional Development Committee's second webinar of the year, entitled, I Have a Direction, Now What? This webinar is for people that know where they want to, either know where they want to go and know, hey, I want to be in campus rec, and this is a professional career for me, or even considering it and saying, hey, I'm not sure if this is the career for me, but this is somewhere I might want to be. Hopefully we have six wonderful panelists that are here that are going to help us talk through some pros and cons of being in the field and what campus recreation and NERSA can do for you. We have 3 graduate assistants, a first year and 2 second years, and also 3 professional staff members on the call. We have a coordinator, an assistant director, and a director. So we should cover all of our bases, and you should know what people are looking for when they're hiring, and what also are some tips that you can start doing now to prepare for this time of year when all the GAs are being posted and all the professional positions are being posted. And it's really something that that can be stressful, but hopefully some of our tips and tricks will help you out. If you have any questions as we come up, somebody says something that really sparks an interest, feel free to tweet us. That's how we're going to answer. And our Twitter handle is @NERSA Region 1. And the 1 is the number 1, not spelled out O-N-E. And tweet @NERSA Region 1 with any questions you may have. And after we're done with everybody talking, we will go on and have those questions read aloud, and we will have a couple people answer them. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to turn it over first to Kevin George to introduce our first presenter.
Hi everybody, my name is Kevin George. I'm the Assistant Director of Intramural Sports and Facilities Operations at Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. I have the pleasure of introducing you to the first panelist. Her name is Caitlin McHugh. She is a first-year GA, and she can tell us about her background. I think we might be having some technical difficulties with Caitlin.
Caitlin, can we hear you one more time? Try talking again. Oof.
Okay, so it looks like what we'll probably do is try to go back to Caitlin at the end of the video call. So we'll add her back at the end of the video call. So next we're going to have Megan introduce our next guest, is Reed.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan Sylvie. I'm the Fitness Graduate Assistant at Boston College and a Region 1 student leader. I'd like to introduce our first panelist, Reed Clanahan from University of Florida.
Oh.
Reed, go ahead.
A little better?
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Like Megan was saying, my name is Reed Clanahan. I am a second-year GA at the University of Florida. I overlook the small group training program specifically. And yeah, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit today kind of about some of those transitional pains as you kind of go into that next step. And so, so something to really keep in mind is that every work environment is going to be different, and so the university you came from isn't going to be the university that you're going to most likely. And with that, understanding that every culture that you come across is going to be different, and so pretty much the programs that might have worked at your university may not work somewhere else. The types of initiative you might have at your university may not transition as well, because every population and every culture, like I was saying, is different. And secondly, kind of to continue to address those pains, I wanted to kind of talk about, like, for you as a GA, it's really important to remember that, like, as soon as you get plugged in, there's a few things you need to do. One of those things is to make sure that you get plugged in right away, because you're out of your element, you're in a new environment, and you need to get plugged into those communities, whether it be like a church group, an intramural sports team, or something else. And then lastly, as far as the pains go, I wanted to just address kind of like being, like, once you get there, be real with your staff, be real with your boss, and you do that by managing your expectations as far as understanding what you want to get out of the experience. And so So whatever kinds of skill sets you want to get out of it, whatever kind of structure you want to get out of your position, make sure that your work is set up in a way that you're doing that. And kind of to transition, I want to talk about actually becoming the GA and what that really means, and kind of touch on what I was just talking about. And so, so what's really important to remember is once you're a GA, that's not it. I mean, your life continues. There's steps after that. There's things you have to remember after that in order to continue to move forward. And so I would encourage people to reverse engineer their goals. And so that's kind of what I did. It's not like it's about being more proactive versus being reactive. And so when you're more proactive, you're forward thinking about, okay, what is that job that I want? So right now it's like, okay, I want to be a GA at X university, and what are the kind of skill sets that I need, and what are the certifications that I need, and experiences I need in order to be someone that someone else would hire. Like if you wouldn't hire yourself, then you need to make sure that you add value to yourself by equipping yourself with those skill sets. I tell you this because I see so many people get stuck and just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hop right into this GA ship as kind of a last minute thought, and I think that it should be a very intentional act. And I mean, you always want to set your goals, but the other thing to remember is that you're never there. Everybody thinks, okay, like when I got to the University of Florida, whenever I was here, I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I've been working for, whatever else. And there's never a there. Just remember that there's on average, people tend to change jobs up to 11 times in their life, and there's never a there. So once you get there, so to speak, figure out what could possibly be your next step, and continue to reverse engineer your goals and equip yourself with those skill sets, whether it be a coordinator position or something else following that. So just put yourself in the best situation to kind of exploit those opportunities. And so lastly, I just kind of want to talk about, positioning yourself in those positions to exploit those opportunities. Remember that in order to do your job to the best of your abilities, you have to continue to be your best self, and you do that by doing some of those things I was talking about. Continue to goal set, plug yourself in with communities, and then staying on top of everything. And so by staying on top of everything, you have to remember that the reason that you're there initially is that school comes first, and that basically whatever your job opportunity, whatever might be after that, is what's going to come second. And so you have to really remember to keep those things in perspective, because I feel like people get very much trapped in the mindset that this job is all there's ever going to be, and you have to remember that there's life outside of that, and that there's a next step after that. And so get happy in your situation wherever you might be, whatever university you might be at, and continue to set goals, whether it be something within a program or something that's going to be leading you to your next step, your next coordinator position. So, thank you, Megan.
Great, thanks, Reed. All right, Kevin will be introducing our next guest.
All right, so I'm going to introduce our first-year GA from Rowan University, Caitlin McHugh.
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, everybody. Sorry about that technical difficulties we had last time, but I'm here now. There's just a few things I want to talk about today, and some of those things are, challenges of searching for a GA. I was obviously just in that position just a few months ago, and unfortunately, challenges do come up with it, and it is a little bit of a stressful time. So if you're going through that now, I want you to take a second and breathe and relax and know that it's going to be okay. So just a little bit of background though, while I was searching for my GA, I was the intern at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill for intramural sports. And during my internship, I learned a whole lot. I learned about a lot of administrative things that I didn't know as a student employee. And for me, that was the best step, because I still was unsure whether campus rec was the road that I wanted to take. And taking the internship, I was able to learn a lot, and now as a first-year GA, I feel like I have succeeded and have felt more confident coming into this position because of that. Now, I was lucky enough that I was able to have that internship and know that that was the right thing for me, and that isn't what's best for everybody. Some people know I'm going to take that GA right away out of undergrad, and I think that's great too. It's really just knowing about what you want and what you need for yourself. But while I was searching for my GA, while I was doing the internship, there was a lot of things I was thinking about, where I wanted to go, what kind of program I wanted to be in, and really just what I wanted to study. And that was a big reason why I also didn't go right back into or looking for a GA right away, because I didn't know if I wanted to go right back to school. So I mentioned location. When you're looking for a GA and you're on Bluefish and you see tons and tons of GAs postings, and you're thinking to yourself, I have no idea where to even go, right? Whether you're close to home now, do you want to stay close to home? Do you want to go far? If you're far now, do you want to come back? All of this stuff. And you really have to just think about what you want. And for me, I was far away from home, so I thought, do I want to head back home? Is this my opportunity to try somewhere else new? And I think that's just things that you need to think about and know for yourself. So what I did was I applied to a few different positions, in different spots, and then I narrowed it down by looking at the program specifically. So for location, my advice with that is if you don't have a preference, go ahead and apply and put yourself out there, and know that it is for 2 years, and yes, you have to fit, but 2 years you can really try something new. So then when I came down to the program of Campus Rec, I was looking at large schools and smaller schools, and I was at a bigger school, and now at Rowan it's a smaller program, and I feel extremely fortunate that I was able to experience both. So for me, again, it was the best thing for me to look at a smaller program so I can have the experiences of both things. And I wanted to try something new, and I thought this was a good opportunity. But I do think when you are searching, you have to look into that so you can know what you want. And then, of course, with the GA comes school, right? So you need to find once you find a program that you're looking for within campus recreation, you need to make sure that there's an academic program that you want to do as well. And the schoolwork has been probably the most challenging thing for me, staying on top of it and not getting overwhelmed with work and still remembering that you're in school. So my advice to you is to make sure that you find a program that you are passionate about and that will help you in your career, because if you're not, then you aren't going to take that time to do your schoolwork. And we all love our jobs, and that's why we're here now. So you have to remember to go, that schoolwork does come first. And at Rowan, everybody has been telling me from day one, you have to make sure your schoolwork comes first and don't get too wrapped up. So that's my advice when you're looking as a whole for GAs. One other thing I wanted to talk about that I think some people are a little bit nervous about when they're going into their graduate assistantship is that transition from being a student to a GA. And like I said, I had that experience going into my internship as well. So it was nice because when I came to Rowan, I kind of already had that idea of how to build those relationships. But it is very important to build the relationships with your student employees and to have them respect you as a leader. But I also think it's a fun transition because you weren't a student long ago, so you can see things from their eyes. And our service is to provide the best service for our students. So to be able to see through the eyes of a participant and through the eyes of a student can really benefit your program. And finally, I just kind of want to talk about the things I've learned about so far in my first year. I've been at Rowan now for about 6-7 months, and I can't believe it because I've learned so much already. And there's a lot of things to take away from my first year that I'm going to take into my second year, and some of those things being just like organization and time management. And knowing that you can learn something new every day. I still have a lot to learn within Rowan's program, and I'm taking day by day learning something different about intramurals, about campus recreation, and seeing all the opportunities. But the one thing, my one goal going into my second year is the time management part and the organization. It is very hard coming back into it, getting back into school, and finding what works best for you, especially if you're going to somewhere new and you're trying to fit all this stuff in, building relationships, school, work, everything. So you just want to, for me, it's definitely the organization and time management that I'm taking away from my first year and hopefully going to do a better job with that next year. But yeah, again, I just want everybody to know when you're going through this, I wasn't there long ago, and just to relax and find a program for you, because it is definitely, when you're going through the interview process, it's not just if they like you, you have to like them too. So good luck, everybody. Thanks,
Great.
Kevin.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. We're going to have now Megan introduce our last GA guest. So go ahead, Jen. Megan.
All right. Jenny Rogers from Clemson University will be our next panelist. So take it away, Jenny.
Great. Thanks, Megan. And just to kind of bounce off of what the other GAs said, they made a lot of really great points, but more reflecting on my experience, now I'm a second-year GA at Clemson University, like Megan said. My area specifically is events and scheduling, which covers a whole lot of different things, and it's kind of one of those unique GA positions that's out there. So don't always think that you have to be siloed into one program area at a time when you're looking. And when I look back to my application process, and if I were to think about something that I would do differently, kind of like Caitlin references, you go on Bluefish and it seems like there's so many GA positions out there, and that you have to get something, so you have to apply for all of them. And that's kind of the spot that I put myself in, and I applied to a lot of places, which kind of makes it a little bit more stressful on yourself when you're on different timelines with people and you're interviewing with one place when other people haven't even started their application process. So just take a lot of confidence in yourself and your abilities and really start to look into those descriptions as more than just job postings. Look at them in the sense that this could be my future. This is where I could see myself spending the next 2 years of my life. And just take confidence in the process and don't feel like you have to apply just to apply. And so on that same note, I think one of the things I always heard, and one thing that you're probably hearing if you're going through the application process now, is that people will tell you, you can go anywhere for 2 years, you can survive anywhere for 2 years. And I almost kind of take a little bit of a different approach. And what I'll tell people is that you don't want to go somewhere for 2 years to survive. You want to go somewhere for 2 years where you'll be able to thrive. And so what I mean by that is if you go into your GA-ship and you go to work every single day and you're telling yourself, I'm just surviving, I'm just surviving, I'm just surviving, that's going to reflect into your work and into how you handle all of your different job duties. And so just take that into mind and really look at it as a 2-year experience to grow and to develop yourself as a professional, and also to help a program develop itself too. And so sort of thinking through those 2 years, one thing people will ask is, what's the difference between your first year and your second year? And when I first came to Clemson, our director did a really good job of breaking it down to us in the form of semesters. So our first week here, he said, I'm not going to be able to tell you exactly how your GA experience is going to go, but for the most part, your first fall semester, that's when you're just getting your feet wet. So that's when you first get to the school, you're getting acclimated to the culture, to the people around you. You really, honestly, truly don't know what you're doing yet, and you're just trying to absorb everything. So kind of like a sponge stage where you're just taking everything in all at once and taking a lot of notes. Then your first spring, that's kind of when you start to get the hang of things, and that's when you're feeling a little bit more comfortable in your role, you're taking on additional tasks, and you're starting to feel really good about where you're at. Now, summer's an interesting time because some GAs will have you at a 12-month appointment where you're required to stay and work during that time, or some will be a 9-month appointment where you have the opportunity to do anything for the summer, whether it be go back home or go take an internship. I had the opportunity to do an internship over the summer, and I highly recommend you using that summertime to develop yourself in some way. So for the most part, summer is usually a slower time for most rec centers. It's a bit of a downtime. People are just kind of restructuring things. So even if you do stay at your current institution over the summer, take that opportunity to look at other different departments or other different program areas, try and learn new things, or go out and seek out an internship skills in that way. But don't just sit and think that it's 2 or 3 months of vacation when you really could be using it for a time of growth. Then when you get into your second year, your first fall, that's what we call your prime. So that's when you feel really confident in what you're doing, you feel great about the place that you're at the place where you can mentor other students, and that's really when you hit your full stride. Also, during this time is when you can kind of get a little bit comfortable. And so the one thing I would challenge all of you to do is never settle for your comfort zone. This is when, if you're feeling really good about your job, take it to the next level. Take on additional responsibilities, seek out other opportunities. Nurse involvement's a huge one. This year I've had the pleasure of serving as the Region 2 student leader, and I applied for that position when I was in my comfort zone of my second fall semester. And so that was honestly something that I probably would have never thought I was qualified for, something that I wasn't comfortable with, but because I felt like I was at that point in my graduate assistantship career, I took the chance, I went for it, and I could not have made a better decision. Being involved so heavily with NERSA, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale, really has opened my eyes, and it's shown me a lot about what this institution, or sorry, what this association has to offer its members, all of the great services that we provide. So take those chances. You learn something from every application you submit, every interview you go through, whether it's the people that are interviewing you teaching you something or you teaching yourself something. And so now it's hard to believe that 2 years has flown by, and in preparing for searching for big girl jobs, as we'll call them, it's really been more of a time of reflection than anything. So really taking a seat back and thinking, what have I been doing for the last 2 years? And it might seem silly, but one thing that I would advise people to do is write things down. When you learn new things, write them down. I know people that have kept a journal, and it's really proven to be beneficial for them, because you would think it'd be easy to remember all the things that you've been doing in your life because it's your life, but when it comes down to those interviews and you want to be able to talk about the different experiences that you've been having, it would be so great to just look back at something and recall, oh, I learned this skill from this experience that I had. So take a note, and it's also kind of cool to look back if you have something tangible to look at and realize all you've accomplished in the 2 years that you've been there. So it's a crazy, crazy stressful time, and kind of what Caitlin said, just take a deep breath and really embrace it, because it's ultimately exciting. It's a time in your life when you're trying to figure out what your next step is, and so it should never be something that stresses you out and becomes something miserable for you. But that's what I've got. Thanks, Megan.
Great, thanks so much, Jenny. Next we'll have Rochelle Harvey introducing our next panelist. So Rochelle?
Hi, I'm Rochelle Harvey. I'm from American University, and I'm currently the aquatics coordinator. I'm introducing Max Miller from Villanova University.
Thanks, Rochelle. My name is Max Miller. I'm the coordinator of club sports here at Villanova University. And I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my experience as a new professional going through the job search process, as well as how things are going right now. I've been in my current position. This is my third academic year. It was an easy transition from my GA experience to my professional experience. As a GA, I was treated as a professional. I was the face of the program. I was working with my student staff, as well as the sport club officers at Texas State. And then now, with the transition to professional life, I know that I'm the end-all be-all with my program for club sports. It's important to be professional with working with the students throughout the day, as well as Michelle. Okay. Networking with individuals on campus, creating your partnerships to make sure that you are able to be as successful as possible with your program. And I mean, with the job search process, it starts at square one with reviewing your resume, reviewing your cover letter, getting as many people to look at it as possible, updating all of your experience to make sure that it's relevant to the field you're applying to, getting many people to review your resume and cover letter for formatting, but also for content. And then knowing that whatever they're advising you on is their opinion, but it all comes down to what you want to put out there to market yourself better. I would suggest generating a new cover letter for each position that you're applying for, maybe having your template of what you're going to use, but then really tailoring that specifically to each position rather than just changing the position title or changing the school that you're applying to on there. And then lastly, for the job search process, I would really suggest creating a database that you can put in all of your all the schools that you're applying to, all the positions, some key data like who the point of contact is, salary, a website, maybe save a PDF of the job description if possible. And then also informing your network so they can bridge connections when you are applying to specific schools. So people who I work closely with that are maybe current GAs now that I'm helping them out with their resumes and cover letters, I'm telling them to let me know where they're applying to, because going to grad school in Region 4, undergrad in Region 1, and then now being a professional in Region 1, I have connections throughout the nursing network, and it's important to make sure you're letting people know, and as well as or just so they can help you out. And then here at Villanova, we run things a little different. We don't have graduate assistants. We have full-time interns that are hired for a 10-month basis. So similar to the hiring of a GA, We post on Bluefish. We request a resume and cover letter. We begin with a phone interview and try to bring the individuals on campus if possible. If that doesn't work because of where they're located, we'll do a Skype interview with them. We're trying to find out their general skills and experiences and find out about the individual in their phone interview. And then in their Skype and on-campus interview, we're going more specific. We're doing an in-depth assessment of the individual as well as their skills and how it's going to be able to apply to their current job position. So our rec department has 2 full-time staff members, myself, and then my supervisor, who's an associate athletics director. We have a full-time intramural sports intern and a full-time fitness center operations intern. And then what they'll gain from this experience is a 1 year of professional experience as a full-time professional in the field, experience of operating a recreation program under an athletic department, experience at a small university as well as a private university, and then also at a Catholic university. Large participation from the students in our recreation programs. We have about 65% total participation in intramural sports, 1,200 students participating in club sports, and then about 1,000 students per week, 1,000 students per day coming in our fitness centers. And then comparing that with the GA experience, so in the internships, it's 10 months compared to the GA, which is 2 years. Internship at 40 hours a week, GA at somewhere between 20 to 30 hours a week. Interns are getting a monthly stipend, treated as a professional. There's no tuition waiver. They're the face of the program and they work with students. And then as a GA, you're probably getting a monthly stipend, a tuition waiver. It could be a full, partial, or out-of-state tuition waiver. Depending on the school, you might be treated as a professional or a paraprofessional. Face of the program, working with students. And then you have to do that balance of schoolwork and job responsibilities as the people before me were talking about in regards to schoolwork. And then it's graduate assistantship. It's great to pair your education and your practical experiences with your graduate assistantship. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to go on our Villanova website and shoot me an email if you have any questions. And thank you guys so much.
All right, thanks, Max. And next we have Kevin George introducing Jessica Ward.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to introduce one of our professionals. It is Jess Ward from Princeton University.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Kevin. My name is Jessica Ward. I'm the Assistant Director of Programming here at Princeton University. I've been a professional in the field for 14 years now. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the differences between applying for a GA position and finding a full-time position in our field. There are some significant differences that you may have already noticed. So when you're looking for a GA position, you might have noticed the plethora of positions available. Obviously, with the 1 to 2 year time span of a GA, there's going to be a lot of opportunities every year where jobs will be posted. With full-time positions, it's a little different. Us rec professionals, we love our job. We are very passionate about what we do. So typically, when we land a job, it will be very rare for us to leave. So it's either we're vacating a position because we're retiring or because we found something better. So there's not as many full-time positions posted as you would see a GA position. So that can be a little bit challenging when looking for full-time jobs. So you need to be a little bit more mindful about how you're applying. Other noticeable differences are on the GA positions will be on Bluefish. Typically, you will send your resume, your references, your cover letter directly to the campus rec department, to that director, or to that reporting person, and that's how you apply. For full-time positions, it's a little different. The job posting will tell you you'll need to go to the HR site of that institution. You'll have to typically create an account at that site, fill out an online job application, as well as attach your resume. Things I always tell candidates is make sure when you have those online applications, you're filling it out completely. If it's asking for specific information, do not put "see resume." Okay, it's asking for those specific keywords, because typically what happens is there's thousands of people applying for that job, and what the software system is doing is it's scanning for those keywords. And if you just put "see resume," your application might not make it to the top of the pile. So fill it out completely. Make sure that you're getting your resume through. And it's always still great to follow up. So if you do the online application from institution, reach out. If you know who that director is, we all, we network quite a bit at NERSA, so you probably already kind of know who's at that school. You send them an email, let them know you sent your application in, so that they can look at their HR department and try to pull it to the top. Other things that you might notice that are a little different is the search committee process. So when you're applying for a GA, typically the search committee will consist of campus rec professionals. You might be meeting with the assistant director, coordinator that you would be reporting to, as well as possibly the director of that program. With a full-time position, the search committee is going to consist of a lot of different people. Typically, you're going to have people from across campus on that search committee. So it might be a couple representatives from campus rec, but it might also include people in the campus center or people in residence life who are sitting on that search committee because they want to find the right fit for this full-time job who's going to help make the institution grow as a whole. So my advice when you're in your GA position is not only get as much experience as you can within campus rec. So if you are the intramural GA, learn about intramurals, obviously, learn about the other areas within recreation, but also start your networking across campus. Make sure you're meeting people in residence life. Make sure you're meeting people over in the campus center, anyone in student affairs, and start building those bridges and understand how campus rec plays a role for the entire institution, not just your small department. Because when you go for those full-time positions, they're going to look to see how is this candidate going to help make sure that our mission for our institution is going to grow. How does campus rec fit into doing as much as it can for higher ed and developing our students collectively, not just in our small department. So those are things you really need to think about. The last key thing I really wanted to touch upon is with this whole process, the best way to help you be successful in all of this is really finding a mentor, finding somebody who can help you develop your skills, who can help you go through this process. A mentor is really somebody who's already done this. I've been in the field now for 14 years. I went through all of these steps. So there's a lot of NERSA professionals. We love to help each other out. We've all gone through it. We've all dealt with read the cover letters that were addressed to the wrong person. We've all seen the mistakes that new professionals can make. Find somebody in the field that can be a mentor to you. Find someone you can trust, someone who's going to be honest with you, who's going to provide you positive feedback, and also keep you enthusiastic about the job. Don't find somebody who's going to be negative, who's jaded in the field. Find somebody who's going to keep you energetic, who's going to keep you enthusiastic, and really can engage you in this learning process, because it's exactly what it is. And it shouldn't be hard to find someone in the NERSA world. We're all willing to help. You just have to ask. That's part of this whole process. You have to put yourself out there, ask for guidance, and somebody will absolutely help you through it. But that's all I really had. Those are the two main differences between a GA and a full-time job. Get as much experience as you can in that GA position. Learn as much as you can about higher ed and all the difficulties that are going on in higher ed now, all the challenges we're facing beyond campus recreation. That's really going to help you get that next position and get you to that next step. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Jess. I really appreciate your perspective as a seasoned professional. And next, we're going to have Rochelle. Zach, introduce our last guest.
All right, and it is with great honor that I introduce my director here at UNH, Stacy Hall. She is also the NERSA President Designee, which means in about 4 or so months she'll be taking over as NERSA President. So, Stacy, take it away.
Thanks, Zach. It's great to be a part of this panel. Everybody's given such great feedback so far. The aspect that I get to talk about today is kind of building on what Jessica just discussed in terms of getting ready to secure that first professional position, and wanted to share with you some of the things that I look for as we go through that search process. And like Jessica mentioned, there's a lot of different people from different places on campus that are part of those processes, and everybody's looking for a little bit different things. I think it's important to first note that universities take a long time, or a lot of time, developing what that position description says. And so taking a look at what that articulates in terms of what they're looking for, and then being able to utilize your experience and skills to talk about how does those skills that you bring to the table fit with what they're looking for. And some of that's going to be pretty straightforward, you know, like what, how much staff supervision do you have, your experience with budgeting, with programming, with developing students. That's an important piece too. So that's kind of the foundation piece, you know, convincing those folks at that institution that you have the skills and abilities for that role. The part that I think helps really stand people above the rest of the whole candidate pool is some things that I think of are things that are hard to teach. So example, you know, Jessica mentioned about folks who are negative. I think that's another aspect to think about as a candidate, is presenting yourself as a positive person that's interested in moving the department forward is really helpful. Things like initiative, we tend to ask a lot of questions around that area. You know, give me an example of a program or an event that you started and took it through. So being able to have at the ready some examples of things that you took the lead on, and then what you learned from that. You know, all of the things we try are not successful, and so what did you learn from it, and what are you going to do differently in the future? And I think it's also important to take advantage of all the tools that we have now to learn about that institution. I mean, obviously, you can get a lot of information off the web, but many folks have already mentioned the importance of networking, and those networks can really help you gauge, is this going to be a good fit for me? Like, I really appreciated what Reed kicked us off with today, that every institution is different. And that's also important to look for, or look at when you are looking for your first professional position. And I know we've had a couple folks today talk about how they successfully navigated that process. And I want to share with you a story that a colleague of mine kind of learned the hard way about that piece of, you know, you want to find a program that's right for you. And a friend of mine who was graduating as a GA at the same time for his first professional position, you know, he really wanted to go to this one school, and they had a position open, and he did all this research for what they would want to hear. So he answered all the questions the way that those colleagues wanted to hear, which means he got the job, right? Well, it turns out that a lot of the philosophies underlying in that department was not a total match for him. So after 6 months, he was like, man, this is not a good fit for me. I need to now go find another position where I am comfortable and I will be more happy and more successful. So and I think that's an easy trap to fall into, because there is so much information out there that you will know what institutions are looking for as they're trying to fill positions. So I always like learning from others in situations like that. So like Reed and Caitlin also talked about, is trying to find that right position for you is important. And that's actually one of the reasons why institutions utilize a lot of different people that you'll visit with during like a college visit, or even like at the conference when you want to meet a lot of different people. Is all of those folks are going to give you a sense as the candidate, is this a place I can see myself at and be successful in? Because we all want everybody to be successful. So those are some of the key things that I thought about with this question about how to get yourself ready for that first entry-level position. So thanks so much for including me on this, Zach, and I'll turn this back over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Stacy. We have received a few questions now that I will direct to some members of the panel. First question is, I am registered for the NERSA annual conference coming up in April in Orlando, and what are some things that I can do to better enhance my chances of getting a job there? So I'm going to turn that over to Caitlin.
Okay, great question. So the annual conference is a great opportunity to, as like we all said, to network and to meet other professionals in the field. And I went to an annual conference, you know, in Nashville and last year in Dallas, where I was looking for the internship and then the GA position. So some of the things that I did was really utilize the Career Opportunity Center. It's open almost every day throughout the conference in the morning, all the way through the sessions, and it's a great time to just stop in there in between sessions and check out, what's going on. And when you go in there, you're going to see a table set up of all folders of different universities, and you can come in there and hand in your resume, and if you have 5 or 6 copies of your resume, you can put them in 5 or 6 different schools or universities that you're thinking of applying for. And then once you put your resume or a cover letter or a note or something to get that professional's attention, go and try and reach out to them and try finding them, whether it's in a session or at a social at night, and really just talking and learning about the opportunities that each school offers. So I definitely think utilizing the Career Opportunity Center is a great tool and something awesome that NERSA does to allow us as students to have those opportunities to meet with professionals at the conference.
Excellent. Thank you, Caitlin. Another question that we received is, I am now scheduled for 2 different Skype interviews in the next few weeks. What are some things that I can do to prepare to have a good interview? And I'll turn that over to Reed Clanahan to answer that one.
All right, thank you, Zach. And so, firstly, I wanted to revert back to what Stacy was saying, and the thought that basically that not everyone's going to be the right fit for you. So you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And secondly, I wanted to actually look at something before we kind of hop into like what the interview actually looks like. And so, firstly, like the cover letter. Make sure the cover letter doesn't actually say what the resume is saying. Make sure that this is my why and this is my what. Why am I here and what am I doing, kind of thing. And after that, make sure before you go into your interview to look over each of the sections of all your experience. Think of them as kind of like a story, as far as like how you kind of come from being an undergrad to where you are right now. And then when you're asked these interview questions, it's not, you don't necessarily have to be just trapped into exactly what you think that they're looking for. Look for ways to highlight exactly what your experiences are and how that can help them as a program grow. And so I'd say that's probably my best advice as far as like looking, like find different ways to really funnel all of your experiences into what they're asking, and don't just limit yourself to exactly what the wording is that they're asking, and then revert it back to what they're saying. It's very good to repeat the words of the last sentence as they said back to them. And lastly, remember to do your homework on the actual program. If you do your homework on the actual program itself, you'll be able to figure out the ways that you relate to that program and how you would kind of fit into that program. It's just kind of like whenever you're meeting someone and you talk to someone and you have a commonality between you and another person, you find that commonality to talk about, and people they love you for it. And so as cliche as that might seem, that's actually very true in the interview process as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Reed. We have a few plugs of things that are going around, NERSA things to get involved with. So I'm going to go Rochelle first, and she's going to talk a little bit about Rec Chat.
Hello again. So our very first Rec Chat of spring semester is coming up on February 17th, and we will be discussing wellness and how we all incorporate wellness into all aspects of all of our programming. So please tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
All right. Thanks, Rochelle. Kevin, you want to mention a few things?
Yeah, I just want to make sure taking advantage of opportunities and setting yourself up for future success. It's really important to ask questions and ask your professionals as early as possible to set things up as far as resume reviews early, getting colleagues outside of your university to maybe look at your resume. So you may have some alumni from your university that are at other universities. So it's always good to get multiple perspectives on the basics of no spelling errors and grammatical errors, but also just the format and kind of verbs and things that are being done. Secondly, I know we piloted this past year. We did some interviews with 3 or 4 different other schools. We actually have alumni in the area, and we actually set up phone interviews and Skype interviews as practice. We actually picked Bluefish Job job openings and pretended that we were the administrators from those offices. So it was another opportunity for them to kind of get the rust off. Sometimes a Skype interview could be awkward as well as a phone interview. There might be some pauses and you can't tell when people were done talking. So, set those up in November, December, January when you have those breaks between Thanksgiving and Christmas because it's hyper competitive now. A lot of GAs might be acquired prior to the conference. So anything you can do to set yourself up for future success. And the last plug I really want to have is, we really want to thank the panel here, but it's really about once you get your GA or once you get your professional job, it's so important to give back to the association that everybody has been mentored and been assisted along the way, and the best way to thank your mentors is to be a mentor and run for a position, be a leader in the association, join a committee. It's only going to help yourself also professionally because you're going to network and meet people and contribute to an end goal. But it's just that feeling in your heart that you get to give back to somebody, whether it's a student from a different university. Obviously, you're going to be mentoring people at your own school, but it's really important that we all follow through on that giving back to the association because I know a lot of us have been impacted by those that have mentored us.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. And now I'm going to turn it over to Megan, who's going to talk about the NERSA mentoring program.
Okay, great. I know the importance of mentoring has come up a lot in this webinar, and it's so true. So if you want to get involved, please reach out to your regional leader or Erica, our national student leader, and we can get you hooked up with either a mentee, a student mentee that you can mentor for professionals or students if you're looking for a professional to get some advice in your area of expertise. Please, please, please let us know and we will get you guys connected. This program has really taken off this past year thanks to Erica and the student leadership team. So we really encourage you guys to get involved with that. On another student note, as far as the annual conference goes, Jenny has a few words to say about the conference kickoff, so I will hand it off to you, Jenny, this Region 2 student leader. So Jenny?
Thanks, Megan. So just another quick note, I know one of the questions that somebody came up with was navigating the annual conference and finding jobs, and one of the things that the student leadership team has been working on for this year is a conference kickoff. So it's just a very small 30 to 45-minute social activity that'll be framed around the opening general session at the annual conference in Orlando, and it's really catered to all first-time conference attendees, so both students and professionals, because if any of us that have been to an annual conference can reflect on how overwhelming and how large it can be. Imagine that being your first conference experience ever, if it was. And so this session is just mainly to talk about some of the NERSA lingo that people will be throwing around, give you some tips and tricks to navigate your first annual conference, and also expose you to some of the student and professional leaders with NERSA to already create that network of people for you. So again, that'll be right before the opening general session at the annual conference, and so we look forward to seeing some of you there.
All right, thanks, Jenny. Big thank you to everybody that helped us out and was a panelist and talked today. I really appreciate it. Your insight is very valued and very much appreciated. I'd also like to thank the members of the Student Professional Development Committee, Rochelle Harvey, Megan Sylvie, and Kevin George. They put in months of work on this, and definitely excited to see everything being paid off. Thanks to Earl, and I know he's watching with his son Elijah. So hey, Earl, thanks for all that you do for us, and we're excited to work with you again soon. Thanks to NERSA in general; they are the ones that really helped us put this all together and really support us with everything that we do and everything we do in general in campus recreation. So big shout out to NERSA as well. We will have one more webinar this year, and it's going to be coming up on March 25th. Which is a Friday at 11 a.m. So we're keeping with the Friday at 11 a.m. theme. It'll be broadcast to the same channel, and it's going to be talking about transferable skills and skills that you learn while working in campus recreation or even participating in our programs, and how that you can take that and transfer them to a different job or different areas of life. So that's what that one will be about. So. Again, thank you guys. If you have any questions, everybody on here will be glad to answer any questions you guys have after the conference. Please feel free to send me an email. My email is zachary.watson@unh.edu. It's on the UNH website if you want to find it there. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. Registration is now open for the NERSA annual conference in Orlando. NERSA.net, go online and register. We hope to see you all there. So again, Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.